So I never meant for this series to become a trilogy, but here we are. Over the last month, I platinumed both How to Train Your Dragon games for PS3, and I thought for sure that I was done. That was until I got this comment. So I'm back once again in the world of How to Train Your Dragon, this time getting every trophy for both DreamWorks Dragons games. Also, later on in this video, I'll be taking a look at some of those other How to Train Your Dragon games you told me about, and some that you didn't. The first game is DreamWorks Dragons Dawn of the New Riders. It was released in 2019 and developed by Climax Studios. It only had 10 trophies and unfortunately no platinum, but I was able to get them all in just a few hours. The game started with Hiccup and Toothless looking around this destroyed village called Havenhome, and my very first impression was that they didn't even bother with voice actors. In the village, they found this kid, Scribbler, and a mysterious looking dragon egg. Hiccup asked the kid to keep the egg safe, a task that he immediately failed. Now, as Scribbler, I chased the trapper and went through the tutorial on how to loot, traverse the map, and fight. The combat isn't that bad. I fell for the oldest trick in the book and was captured, just seconds before the egg started to move. Scribbler named the Chimeragon hatchling Patch, which was short for Patchwork, because he was multiple different breeds of dragon. I explored a bit, making sure to open as many chests as I could, because there was a trophy for opening 100. And then I met Astrid, who I could trade materials with for health potions and buffs. Further ahead, Scribbler started piecing together memories of how we got to the island, also mentioning that Patch felt familiar. I came across these ancient ruins that a loud roar echoed from, and solved a few puzzles that ultimately led me to this dragon door. Through it, I met this mystery character who said she also had a Chimeragon once, before disappearing into a cloud of smoke. I managed to catch up with her, but also found the source of that roar. In the first boss fight against this hot Burple dragon, I needed to dodge its fire attacks and lure it into ramming these pillars. Stunning the dragon would draw the scientist out, and defeating her would move me to the next phase. After repeating that process 3 times, I won. Winning that fight caused Patch to evolve, unlocking him a new lightning ability and growing his wings, which only meant one thing. Let's go fly. Take to the skies on Patch for the first time. Back at base, Hiccup suggested that I search the Valka's mountain for more info on that hot Burple, and Scribbler started theorizing that maybe that scientist's Chimeragon was the dragon that brought him to the island. Astrid beat me to the mountain and brought a letter from Snotlout. He was hating, as usual, but still enjoying his victory from the last game. She also gave me the Horn of Dramillion, which let me call in air support from the dragons I've saved. I got the Horn of something. Call the hot Burple to fire balls of burning molten lava. Damn! It was very effective against these testing grunts, but not so much against this boss. After an absurd amount of lightning puzzles, I reached this island's ruins, and my girlfriend, who was watching me play, asked a very good question.
So if you have a dragon, why can't you just fly over all this?
Good point. Through this dragon door, I found an injured hot Burple, another one of the scientist's experiments, and learned that her real name was Air Stormheart. This time around, I had to take on a Stormcutter dragon, and the strategy here was to hide behind these ice spikes, stun it with one of these statues, and fight Air to proceed to the next stage. When the Stormcutter was free, Air revealed that she used to create dragons like the Chimeragon with her partner G, and dipped. Then Patch evolved again, this time into what's known as a Titan Wing, and got new fire abilities. At Havenhome, the crew discussed next steps, like finding where Air sourced the ingredients for her dragon mind control potion. Fishleg sent a letter explaining what the potion was made from, and Astrid said I could find one of the ingredients, Dragon Vine Bulb, on an island nearby, and probably Air too. Surprisingly, I was already on the last level, and more surprisingly, this was the least enemy inhabited island yet. Once I made it to the ruins, I saw this. And in my crawling of this dungeon, I opened my 100th chest. Collector. Eventually, I reached the first part of the final boss fight, where I learned that massive dragon was called a Crimson Gore Gutter, and this fight was actually pretty fun. Just the scale of it compared to the rest of the game was impressive. I freed the Gore Gutter in 5 phases. For the first 2, I had to break the chains holding it back. Then I destroyed the potion canisters on its front legs and forehead. Now it was time for the real final boss. Scribbler tried to convince Air there was still hope for her to turn good, but she refused, claiming that everything she worked for would be for nothing if she turned good. This battle wasn't very difficult at all, and once Air was defeated, Scribbler tried one last time to convince her right before the arena collapsed. Due to Patch's advanced aging and the toll the previous battles took, he was looking pretty bad. Scribbler and the crew brought him to the final resting place for dragons. But this is a kid's game. And it turned out that Patch could revert himself back to an egg on command. Yeah, I don't know either. But that meant the Chimeragon who brought Scribbler to the island in the first place was Patch. Hiccup invited them to stay in Burke, but Scribbler declined the offer, saying he wanted to find Air and learn how to reverse Patch's aging. So now it was time to go find her. Oh, a new beginning. Wait, I already beat the game? Well, now that there was no more story, I only needed 4 trophies for the 100%. I had to discover all the side islands, rescue every captive airstrike dragon, upgrade every weapon to its max level, and purchase every item in Gobber's store. On the first side island, I found an Eruptodon scale, which I needed to fully upgrade my hammer. On the next 2 islands, I unlocked the Hobgobbler and Deadly Natter airstrike dragons. Island 4 gave me a Sea Shocker blade for my sword. I got the last airstrike dragon on 5. Support from above. And that meant on the 6th and final island, I got the trophy for visiting them all. And the last special material, a Snow Wraith Tooth. Back in Havenhome, I spoke to Gobber and upgraded all 3 of my weapons to max. And switched to the crafting tab to make the last item I needed. To be completely honest, Dawn of the New Riders was not a bad game. It was far too short, but that's probably the only downside I'd give it. The combat was simple and fun, the small open world where I could fly with Patch was pretty cool, the idea of the hidden islands each having their own theme and challenge was nice, and just overall the game was pretty good. The only technical issue I really have, unrelated to the game's content, was the fact that it had such a small trophy list and no platinum. The second game was DreamWorks Dragon's Legends of the Nine Realms. It released in 2022 and was developed by A Heartful of Games. As for the plot, it's a prequel to the show Dragons the Nine Realms and shows the story of how the main crew of dragons got together. This one had 26 trophies, a platinum, and the voice actors.
You want to hear a story about dragons?
So we were already off to a better start. One really unique thing about this game was the ability to check the trophy list from the main menu. Not like it just redirected me to the PlayStation trophy menu, it actually showed them in-game. Legend of the Nine Realms started by introducing the main character, a Nightlight dragon named Thunder, and he was about to run the Fade with one of his sworn enemies, the Skrill, right before a comet hit the mountain they were in. There was a tutorial on how to move and what I should be on the lookout for.
Collect gems to train your dragons.
Say that again?
This training dragon dropped me my first blue gem, which unlocked my first trophy. Gem student? Obtain your first blue gem. And after some more tutorial, I completed level 1. I finally got to take on some Skrill in the second level and show them who the superior dragon was. Later on, I saw this giant Fault Ripper trying to take over Gembreaker territory. So I stepped in and did what I do best, spam heavy attacks. Once it was defeated, one of the gem breakers, Plowhorn, joined my team. I made some quick upgrades to my dragons before jumping into the second realm, and for unlocking an ability for Plowhorn, I got a trophy. Now it was time to start the search for Thunder's family. They were not in this first level, but the reward for completing it was 10 purple gems, although I only needed 1 for Gem Scholar. I got another gem-related trophy for collecting 500 blue ones. And in the last stage of this realm, I came across an orange crystal that had helped the dragons escape, but it wasn't that simple because it was guarded by a screaming death dragon. When I defeated it, Thunder and Plowhorn weren't quite strong enough to activate the crystal. That is until they were joined by a Mist Twister dragon, Woo and Wei. With a third teammate, I entered the Fire Realm, which was crawling with Skrill, but luckily,
Where there are skrills, there are nightlights.
meaning Thunder's family could be nearby. I completed the first level by reaching this yellow beacon instead of the usual blue one, so I guess now would be a good time to explain what that meant and why this game had 3 playthroughs. Basically, there were 3 ways to complete each level. The main way, which led to the blue beacons and unlocked the next level, the alternate way, which required a different path, and the challenge mode, which was a harder version of the level that could only be played once it was completed both other ways. Fast forward to the end of the Fire Realm, the team came across this monstrosity, a catastrophic Quaken, but despite its size, he was no match for the barrage of heavy attacks from Woo, Wei, and Thunder. Once it was taken down, Feathers, a feather-hide dragon, joined the team. They'd been imitating the Nightlights, meaning they might know where to look for them. With this new addition, the team was complete. Now it was time for the Dark Valley realm, where the first level got me some orange gems and the Gem Expert trophy. In the third, I got enough purple gems to cross the 500 threshold, and Thunder noticed these other nightlights being drawn to some floating music notes. I followed them too, and stumbled right into the boss arena of this death song that was using the music to lure dragons in and hunt them. This was a good fight. The death song could even summon other dragons under its spell to join. I managed to take it out though, and Thunder's fellow Nightlights were freed. The Nightlights led my team to the final section of the game, the King's Realm, and Thunder was reunited with his family, but the Skrill followed them from the Dark Valley. Only this time,
Thunder won't let them be scared off again.
I could tell by the first stage that this realm would be a true test of my team's chemistry, as a specific dragon would be best suited for each scenario. In the game's last level, titled Ancestral Rivalry, my team pulled up strong to the Skrill hideout, and got the attention of their Titan Wing leader. Alright, I got some pretty good damage in his Thunder, even though he is buffed to lightning damage. Still doing a pretty good chunk of damage off of him. I sub him out for Plowhorn. And the heavy attack is super good, especially now that he's sitting on the ground, and I could spam it. Got him a little bit below half health. I want everybody to get their hits in though, so I'm gonna switch it up. Alright, let's get Feather in there. Alright, we're gonna get him now. As Thunder. This is it. Come on. Almost there. And got him. Got Titan Wing Skrill Trophy. Complete the King's Realm. And there are the credits that I'm gonna skip. He was pissed when he lost, but this victory ended the conflict between the Nightlights and the Skrill for good. Now I had to play every level 2 more times. First to use the yellow beacon, and then to complete it in challenge mode. There was a trophy for each realm that I got after doing all 5 levels in challenge, and at the end there'd be a 6th for unlocking all the beacons, or rather completing every level in all 3 ways. These honestly weren't that bad. Fearless. Make 500 enemies escape. Basically just defeat 500 enemies. We're already in the boss fight for the first realm, so this isn't too bad. If he wasn't invincible right now, I would have one-phased him. Alright, got him. While he was in his resting phase. There we go. Bioluminescent Realm. For completing all of those levels on challenge mode. And we got a new skin for Thunder, that's pretty cool. There we go. Ice Realm. And here we go. Fire Realm. I grabbed Orange Enthusiast in the Dark Valley for reaching 500 orange gems. And for defeating the boss again, I got... Okay. Back in the Titan Wing Skrull fight. This is the last challenge mode level in the game. Alright, I've been pressing square for 5 minutes straight, and he's about halfway dead. This is what boss fights are meant to be. And after 8.5 minutes, he's finally dead. And that means when I exit the level this time, I got King's Realm for completing every King's Realm level on challenge difficulty, and Keen Explorer for unlocking all crystal beacons. Okay, so I'm down to the last 6 trophies now. I just need these 4 right here for fully upgrading the dragons, and then this one for having the whole team fully upgraded. This one will pop right after these, and then the platinum will actually pop right after Shardmaster. So I'm gonna start with Thunder.
Those dragons shouldn't be a bother anymore.
And then Plowhorn.
That must feel great right now.
Then we got Wu and Wei.
Job well done.
And then we got Feathers, and when I press this button, it will pop the last 3 trophies, including the platinum.
Those dragons shouldn't be a bother anymore.
So we got Charmed Up for fully upgrading Feathers, Shardmaster for fully upgrading the whole team, and the Sky is the Limit platinum trophy for for DreamWorks Dragons Legend of the Nine Realms. Forgot what the game was called. This was a very enjoyable and easy game, but even though it was longer than the other one, I'd say the story didn't quite hold up as well. It was very repetitive, but again, I wouldn't call it bad. And now for the moment at least some of you have been waiting for, the most requested and talked about How to Train Your Dragon games, and a couple others I felt like talking about. The first game I checked out was the DS port of How to Train Your Dragon from 2010. Some people were telling me that it was like Pokemon with dragons because of its combat, and that made me very interested to see what it had in store. I managed to pick up a copy of the game online, and it got here in a timely enough manner to be included in this video. I grabbed my metallic blue 3DS and loaded up the game to see what the hype was about. Right off the bat, the dragon customization was way better. Not only were there more options, but they were also cooler than what was available on PS3. As for the gameplay, it was exactly what I imagined when I heard it was compared to Pokemon, and that's a good thing because it was pretty fun. I only played a little bit so I could talk about it in this video, but I wouldn't be surprised if I went back to finish it soon. Next on the list was the most talked about game in both comment sections. School of Dragons was an MMO that came out on July 17th, 2013, but was sadly shut down on June 30th, 2023, exactly 2 years ago yesterday. However, thanks to some dedicated fans, I found a download for the rebooted version of the game. Once I was in, I made an account, then got to create my character, and I was placed into this cave with Hiccup. Inside, I found an axe that I used to open this cage and create my very own dragon sidekick. I went with a monstrous nightmare, customized him, and gave him a name. The first thing I noticed in this tutorial was how insane the default sensitivity was, and how there was no option to change it. It took some getting used to, but I managed to escape the cave. Outside, Hiccup taught me how to fly, which was strange at first because I had to use the keyboard to change directions and these on-screen buttons to boost and brake. I met Headmaster Hayral and brought him a basket of dragon eggs I also found in the cave. He introduced me to the quest system, and I chose wilderness training. I teleported to the wilderness to meet Gobber, and I found other real players out there. It was actually kind of popping in here at 5:30 AM on Sunday. Anyway, I harvested some wood and stone without a problem, but then I had to catch a fish. Simple, right? I found the fishing spot and bought some bait from the store. After a few practice swings, I finally hooked the brown trout I needed for the objective, but... This was pretty much all I played, besides this interesting Fright of Passage maze, which I'd assume was part of a Halloween update a while back. I only delivered one chicken to its coop before I got bored though. Honestly, I have to say that I did enjoy this game, not even trying to excuse my rage quit. I really did have fun for the hour I played. The character and dragon customization was pretty cool, and I feel like I definitely would have played some more fun quests if I kept going, but that's for another time. Unfortunately, I didn't have any luck finding a Wii version, so I had to check out some gameplay on YouTube. For the first game, I think the graphics were better, at least compared to the PS3. Everything else looked pretty much the same though gameplay-wise. How to Train Your Dragon 2 on the Wii looked not as good, but where I did see an improvement was in the frame rate. I'm not sure how that whole thing works with your eyes and watching on YouTube, but it looked smoother to me. I also didn't see any gameplay of this, but a few people commented saying that Stoic and Valka weren't in this version, which was pretty odd. Okay, so I'm in the middle of editing the video right now, and I remembered something I saw not too long ago. It's this, How to Train Your Dragon, the Roblox game. I don't know, is this official? Oh yeah, yes, this is official. So it does count technically as a How to Train Your Dragon game. I'm gonna play this for a couple minutes, just see what it's like. Okay, so first thing to do is tame Toothless. I'm walking at him with a bucket of fish. This is actually crazy that this is Roblox. Okay. What am I supposed to do? Okay, leave the cove. This is crazy if this is real. So my question is, they put all this work into a Roblox game. Why didn't they just make like an actual game out of this? This is insane actually. Like, this is not what I was expecting. I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now, but I know I've said it already like 10 times now, but like this is insane. This is in Roblox, dude. This is the best one I've played so far. And all I've done was fly around. The controls are like incredibly responsive. Like you could turn like that in midair. This is the How to Train Your Dragon game everybody's asking for. I've only been in here for 5 minutes. Alright, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing in here, but this is genuinely insane. Like I said in the intro earlier, I did not expect this series to become a whole trilogy. When I first had the idea for the How to Train Your Dragon video, it was just the first game. But then I found the sequel in my research and played that one too. Now, thanks to all your suggestions in the comments, I played the 2 DreamWorks Dragon spin-offs and checked out all those other games you told me about. I genuinely had a great time playing and experiencing these games, and if you watched all 3 of these videos, or even just this one, thank you so much. One of my favorite parts of all this was hearing your memories with these games, so please feel free to spark up some conversations in the comments. I got some really fun videos lined up for after this, so subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you have a great day, see you in the next one, and peace out.
Well, you're quite the Viking warrior. Who knew? I admit, I had my doubts. But you conquered every challenge and obstacle. And it's, not easy for a Viking to say this out loud, but I am proud of you. Now it's time to sit back, relax, and relish your victory.
Last one to the axe throwing contest.
Is a rotten Viking!
You'd better hurry.